Why have an estate plan that only works when you're dead, when you can have a powerful plan that actually does a lot of important work for you while you're alive? Hi, I'm Brandon Ayers. I'm an estate planning attorney, but I'm not your attorney. And today I want to talk to you about what I think are the most important legal documents you can have as part of your estate plan. Those documents, they're called powers of attorney. And there's two kinds, a healthcare and a property power of attorney. What do? Well, simply put, they help you during the most trying times of your life. They put people you trust into your shoes to make decisions when you can't make them for yourself. Before getting into the details of how they do that, let's get to the big board to define some key terms. All right, before we get into the details of powers of attorney, healthcare, and financial, and what they do or don't do, let's get some basic terms down. So I want to talk about the term advanced directives here first. This is the term that is kind of the overarching category of documents that powers of attorney fall into, but there is some confusion. People ask, I have advanced directives. Does that mean I have powers of attorney? If you have powers of attorney, you have advanced directives. So, the healthcare power of attorney. Healthcare, with an H. Healthcare power of attorney, that's a document where you name an agent, a person you trust, to make healthcare choices for you if you're in a situation where you can't. And I like to have, at least two people, a succession. So if somebody's not available, the next one can make choices. So then we have the property power of attorney. I often call it the financial power of attorney because there's some confusion about property meaning all finances. And so on that document, you name your agent to make financial decisions for you while you're alive but need help. You're probably going to want that agent to make choices for you right away. I'll expand on that, but you really have a lot of situations where you want your agent to make decisions even though you're not 20 years into an Alzheimer's diagnosis and incapacitated. Then you have a term living will. This is another area of confusion. I have a healthcare power of attorney. Do I need a living will, or how's a living will different than a regular old will? Well, the living will is where you name your end of life preferences. So the end of life preferences being, this is how I feel about organ donation, this is what I want life support, this is when I don't. That's the document. Then we have the terms agent. The agent is the trusted person you name on a document to step into your shoes and make decisions for you, whether that's healthcare or financial decisions. And then your proxy, it's another term for an agent. I'm the healthcare proxy. When I hear that, I hear I'm the agent on the healthcare power of attorney. So those are the terms. Let's get over and talk about this in details. All right, before we start talking about the two kinds of advanced healthcare directives, one thing to make clear is that this is not legal advice. This is just for your information. I don't know who you are. I'm not your attorney. You should find your own attorney to get specific legal advice for your specific situation. You can find me if you want to. If not, that's great too. Now, there's two kinds of advanced directives, healthcare power of attorney and a financial power of attorney, property power of attorney. Again, I like to refer to it as a financial power of attorney because it gets across that it's for all finances and not just real estate. Both of these states will typically have their standard forms that are derived from their state laws. And I like to use those forms whenever possible. If you're in an emergency, a car accident, you can't make decisions for yourself. I want the nurse or the hospitalist who's going to be processing your healthcare power of attorney to have seen that thing 1,000 times before and be completely comfortable knowing that the person that you've named can make decisions for you in that instance and not have to run up this form that they maybe never saw before because they never had somebody who had an attorney with that drafting software come through their wing. So I like the state standard forms, but I definitely always look for ways I can customize for my clients within the boundaries that the state form sets. So then you just name your person, whether it's for healthcare or financial decisions, and you decide when you want it to be effective. Effective date is important. Some people consider when they think of power of attorney and needing help, they think of being 20 years into some Alzheimer's diagnosis and needing to pay bills and make end-of-life decisions. That's very true. You need that for a power of attorney for sure. But there's plenty of instances when there's nothing wrong with your capacity when you're going to want the people you trust to be able to make decisions for you. Maybe you're on vacation. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity comes up on your dream house. Maybe you're dropping off a kid at college and there's a time where you need to deposit a check that you forgot and to satisfy a deposit requirement with the school. Those are all realistic things that can happen where you could have your trusted person in place to go grab the check from your house, sign it as your power of attorney, and deposit in the bank. You can get those things completed and nothing's wrong with your mind. Then you just have to sign it in front of the right witness or notary as required by that state's laws. So that's generally how power of attorneys work. So let's get into the different kinds of powers of attorney. Healthcare power of attorney, let's start there. As I mentioned on the big board, You have living wills that often get confused, or people don't understand where they overlap and what does what and what doesn't the other one. Technically, the healthcare power of attorney, again, names the person for you to make decisions. And then the living will names your healthcare preferences. One thing you want to consider is make sure you're clear on things like organ donation preferences, on things like your end-of-life treatment, when you do and do not want life support, how you choose to define or leave it up to your agent's discretion what quality of life and recovery look like, because those things change as you age. And it's good to have a document that's flexible enough to change with you. So as long as your loved ones know what a quality of life or an ability to recover looks like, then they can make the choice for you based on what they're hearing from the doctor. You also want to consider severe cognitive impairment. I think this is the most common shortfall of modern healthcare power of attorney set by the state. The states are slow to adjust their laws to include a language for if you have severe cognitive impairment and some acute illness comes up that you can get better from, but you're so far gone on this Alzheimer's diagnosis, for example, that you're saying less than 20 words per day. At that point, if you got pneumonia, most people I run across would say, you know what, keep me comfortable, don't leave me in pain, but let that pneumonia kind of run its course. We can put that language in there, but that's something we have to be proactive about. I've never seen a state to have a standardized option for that situation. So that's the healthcare power of attorney. Now let's get into the financial power of attorney. So the financial power of attorney for property, is the one where you name people to step into your shoes financially and make decisions for you when you can't make them for yourself. So that's pretty straightforward. You name your spouse, you name your trusted son, whoever it might be, and maybe in succession you name people. Most states will have a pretty similar list. It's like they all went to the same school and they just copied each other. They all have a standard list of, here's the powers my agent can do. Since that document has been encoded in the state law, there's been lawsuits and disputes and all sorts of things that have set what that standard list covers and what tasks fall outside that standard list where something else is necessary. And that's where you can get caught in a bind if you're not careful. Things like, for example, updating beneficiaries on retirement accounts. It's the most classic thing that standard powers don't include, even though most states have their line, retirement account transactions, as a standard power they grant an agent. However, think about it. Is a beneficiary update an account transaction? Are you buying or selling stock, for example? No. And many financial offices have their back office agree that no, this is not a transaction. This is an account management issue. So you need your power of attorney to have an added power that says, my agent's authorized to manage retirement accounts, including updating beneficiaries, even if it's not me or my spouse or my kids. Because there might be times where you need a trust to be that beneficiary. And again, on the financial power of attorney, you really want to consider making that thing effective immediately. If there's somebody you can't trust making decisions for you now that you need to hold it for incapacity, I think the right choice, rather than holding back on when the thing's effective, is to pull that person out of the document. Find somebody else. So I really want you to find people you trust enough that if you need help today, they can make a decision. And if that person's not around because they've died or something, then you have a successor. If you can get that far, you're in a really good spot with your financial power of attorney. That's it for Powers of Attorney. I really appreciate you listening this far. I thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it was valuable, if you give it a like, a subscribe, that'd really help get this channel rolling. I do have an educational series coming up this summer on estate planning topics like this. So if you do want to know more, you can use the promo code EP25 and the link in the description to register for that class. It'll be 8 weeks of videos and tasks to really get your feet wet for what an estate plan should mean for you at this point in your life. Other than that, have a wonderful day. Be kind to each other.